Moksha wo. Taisei sano de. Minasan ni share stai to moimasu. Watashi no moksha wa Nihon de ie wo tatelu koto desu. Shinjitsu Fudo-san ni denwa ie wo shagashite ruto mashita. Kare wa watashi no Nihongo wo rikai shi riso no ie mo miskari mashita.
So, Rodney, welcome to this YouTube channel. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. Thank you.
Great. So I met you last year, 2021, December. And then when I met you for the first time was a little bit quiet, shy, less confidence. I'm studying Japanese, living in Japan 10 years. I have a son, I have a family, I cannot speak. I try everything. I don't know what's wrong with me. I cannot speak almost anything. That was, my first impression. What I am amazed is you are always a positive learner when you started. So you actually start going to the park with our learning structure. You actually learn several things and okay, let's talk and start going to the park. And now you actually visited real estate in Japan by yourself and you bought a property and house, right?
Yes, it's in the process, still in the process, but we're pretty close finishing it up at this point.
So
Yes.
crazy. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of foreigners cannot
Mhm.
actually find even the room, right? Like a lot of people actually, oh, gaijin, no, I cannot speak English, so please go somewhere. Please find a house on the base or something, It's really difficult to find even the room. Imagine how they
Yes.
get to buy the land, property, house by themselves. Usually they need to ask, Japanese friends or wife or family, please,
Yes.
I need help. I cannot do by myself. So like how these things happen, you actually visit real estate by yourself. You kind of negotiate, ask what you really want, and then you actually made a deal. Yeah,
Right.
tell me
Yes.
how this story.
So the big thing is when you have a Japanese spouse, people tend to think that, oh, it's easy for you. You don't have to worry about anything. You can just let your spouse translate for you. But, in real life, there's a lot of things that you're going to come across where your spouse is not going to be with you. You're not going to be able to just pick up the phone. Like my wife, when she's at work, she's very busy. I call, I get to leave a message on her phone. We'll talk about it at night when she get home because she doesn't even have time to check messages when she's at work. The big thing is because I do have a child where, and I'm the closest one, to our son. And so I'm going to be the first one there. So I have to be able to communicate, and I can't depend on, calling around. Whenever you try to find someone to help you out and translate for you, you end up having to make 4 or 5 different phone calls just to find someone before you get someone. So that's a method that doesn't work. And plus it makes you too dependent on someone else to do the talking and the thinking. And if you don't understand what they're saying and they're in disagreement with you, they're going to say what they want to say. They're going to say what's best for them in that situation. And, I like to always know exactly what's going on so that I can respond and react to it. So, I knew not only that I wanted to learn how to talk, but I knew I wanted to learn how to listen. And so, so I started with your course, and you're right. I was quiet. I was nervous. I was kind of embarrassed because, automatically, when you say you have a spouse, everyone think that your Japanese is really good, or you don't have to worry about speaking it at all. Why would you take lessons or anything? But it's, the real life is you must. I mean, you have to, because they don't want to deal with the translation. They don't understand English. You don't understand Japanese. There's no way you could get things resolved. They can't understand when you're complaining about something or complimenting about something. So it becomes a big problem. So they'll rather just not deal with it. And they'll tell you, go to some place that, where you have some English speakers that can help you, because I don't know English, so I can't help you. And it's not being cruel, it's just the truth. So, for me, I knew that, especially with having a child, that I need to know how to communicate in Japanese. And, and as I watch my son grow, he's no longer that little bundle of joy in a blanket. Now he's all over the place, ripping and running. I've had, a few incidents already where I've had to take him to the hospital, And this is real life. And I knew I wanted more space for him, and I know I had my idea of what I wanted my house to look like on the inside, how big I wanted it. And only way I was going to do that, if I sat down with my wife and talked with her about the same exact things, in the end, it would come out how she interpreted, how she see it. She'll go do all the talking. Everything will look like just how she wanted. It wouldn't look anything like
Mm.
what I want. So I knew
Yeah.
that I had to be the leader. I had to be the one on this to get it started. And
Yeah,
so, even
that's
when the real estate agent asked me, if
mm.
you will your wife be joining us? I said, no, she's at work. I'm going to start this, then we'll meet up with you after I look at some stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how it went. I want people to understand also that, you know, it's not just, learning to speak, it's learning to listen. And,
Mm.
so you're listening you and understanding what people are saying to you and
Mm.
responding back to them in
Yeah.
Japanese. Because, like I said, the way it started off is kind of, it's kind of funny. So, I spoke to the receptionist
Mm.
and, I said, "Ie wo sagashite imasu." And
Yeah.
he told me, "Kashiko marimashita, shesho mashi kudasai."
Mm.
And then I waited online for a little while, and then the gentleman came on the phone, and he asked me about a room. He asked me, how long was I looking to rent a room for?
Mm-hmm.
And so she went and translated something or told them something entirely different than what I was asking for. Because I asked for a house, and he came
Mm-hmm.
back asking me like I was trying to rent a room.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Watashi wa kanko kyaku janai desu. Nihon de wa Yokohama ni sunde imasu."
Mm.
I said, "Ie wo sagashite imasu."
Mm.
And then he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh." So, then he started asking me about, the questions that, like what we were
That's
discussing and stuff. And things.
amazing.
So I want to go and I want to tell that story and I want them to understand it's not just me memorizing some lines that I want to say in Japanese and because it doesn't work it never works that way. So I want them to
Exactly.
understand that, as they spoke to me, I understood what they were saying to me and I was able to
Mm-hmm.
respond with their answers and give and
Mm.
plus tell them what I wanted. And it worked
Mm.
and it ended up working out really, really good. And
Mm.
then my close, when I get to the last thing I'm going to say, daji na pointo o imasu.
うん
不動産外資の人は、家を紹介
うん。
する前に、ビザや財政状況を確認してくるので、忘れないください。頑張ってください。So that's
Mm.
the way I want to
That's
close it.
amazing. I think it's most of this listener is I think watching because they already live in Japan, they're still struggling learning Japanese. Or they are visiting Japan from the States very often for business, or maybe they have family already. And then, when you cannot speak Japanese at all, even they are living in Japan many years, or even they have Japanese family, something like kind of you get used to be that person who can't understand. Okay, it's okay. Like my wife gonna take care. It's okay.
Mhm.
Somehow I'm gonna like speak really broken small words, pointing. Okay, it's gonna work, and it's so difficult to believe in themselves that it's okay. I will be able to speak properly. And that's something how you actually come up this the idea, okay, I'm gonna change, something I think a lot of
Yes.
people kind of get used to be with that person who can't speak.
The big thing is, like I said, when you become that person who just stay quiet all the time and let
Yeah.
someone else do all the talking for you, you fall further and further behind. And we know everyone get married with the intention of being together for the rest of their lives. We all know that that doesn't always happen sometimes. And if you're
Mm.
living here, if you have children here, as in my situation, I'm living here, I have children here. If anything, God forbid, anything happened and my wife and I go separate ways, I still want to be with my kids. So that means I'm
Mm.
going to be living here. Now I'll be in that same situation all over again where I'm standing, I don't know how to speak, I'm depending on someone else. It's like you started right back over from where you began. You haven't made any progress. And I
Mm.
can tell you, those little books, I study lines in those little books. And when you go out there in the real world, it doesn't sound anything like what people talk.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. So you automatically, once they start talking, you're already lost because you don't understand anything because it doesn't translate to what you studied in that book. So
Mm.
you have to take that effort and put that foot forward that I'm going to do this. And then you just
Mm.
have to follow through. You have to do it. It's just like walking. You put that
Mhm.
one foot up, you got to put that other foot in front of it again. So that's the
Mhm.
only way, that's how you get it started. For me, as far as um, the real estate thing go, I mentioned to my instructor that I wanted to concentrate on real estate because the ball was already rolling in my head. But I knew
Mm.
Japan from looking around. I never saw a house anything like what I want to live in. Even the homes
Mm.
I've considered sizable, big homes. When you go inside of it, the rooms are narrow.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you build a whole country this narrow? So automatically, then you go to that idea, I'm going to buy a piece of land. I'm going to
Mm.
buy a piece of land. I'm going to build on it. Well, you know
Mm.
what? If you can't talk, if you don't understand the language, if you don't understand how to communicate with Japanese natives, how are you going to do this? How are you going to buy this land? How are you going to start building? How are you going to go and talk to contractors? Your problem just always goes back to square one again. And you
Yeah.
feel like you're not making any progress, so you just become more and more frustrated with it. So to anyone living here that's planning on living here long term, I encourage you. You know what? Take those steps, learn. And in my case with this method, this is a very proven method. I can use myself as an example
Mm.
always of, what? Here's a guy who couldn't put two words together and make a sentence. And now I'm doing everything. I'm going to the store. I went to a real estate agent by myself, completely
Yeah.
by myself. I dealt with an agency completely by myself. No outside help, no phone calls to anyone else, just me by myself. And
Yeah.
you know what? So if knock on wood, it works. Your method works.